at Providence, Rhode Island. His life of military service ended abruptly in September 1786 in Springfield, Massachusetts, while engaged in suppression of Shays' Rebellion, which was an uprising of farmers related to currency disarray after the Revolution. Reportedly, one of his older sons was with him at the time, and his son Jerry was 2 years old. What happened was his horse was charging up a hill and slipped on the ice and fell on Lieutenant Wheelock and the horse fell. He had sold the home to Royal Jefferson, another blacksmith, shortly before his death, and at some point the blacksmith shop was either moved or rebuilt beside the house near the present-day Unibank Mobile driveway. Jefferson and heirs owned the house through the 19th century, renting for some time to blacksmith Elihu Brown, and in the early 20th century, the house was purchased by Mr. and Mrs. Haywood, who later donated it to the chapter. I have some postcard photos over there on the table, and they were taken in 1936. And you can see a blacksmith shop next to the house in one of the pictures. Today, our chapter maintains the house, supports Good Citizen Awards and scholarships at Uxbridge, Nipmuc, and Blackstone Valley Regional High Schools. We give gift cards and financial support to veterans at Christmas. We host open house opportunities to the community. We participate in Wreaths Across America, sponsoring Prospect Hill Cemetery. And we work with area libraries and schools during Constitution Week and for American History essay contests. We recently hosted a moving retirement ceremony with the Uxbridge Boy Scouts. So now to the meat and potatoes. How do you become a DAR member? The best initial move is to trace your family history and identify a potential patriot, male or female, who provided military service or support to the American Revolution. They didn't have to fire a gun. They just had to find documented support to the revolution. Given DAR's purpose to perpetuate the legacy of all the men and women who achieved independence, DAR has a decided role to play in researching and promoting how diversified participants assisted in the creation of our nation, including those who were African American, Native American, and female. DAR is committed to better telling the stories of these patriots who have all too often been left out of the pages of history. These patriots may also be of Puerto Rican, French Canadian, or other descent. The website dar.org/interest is a good contact point to start. One member of the audience today has a potential patriot, and she can go on that website and search the Patriot database to see if he is already an established patriot. If not, she's got a piece of paper that is a good place to establish that person as a patriot. An interest inquiry is shared with a chapter regent and a registrar. The chapter registrar is the person responsible for helping you assemble proofs of relationships back to the specific patriot. My proofs went back 7 generations. Proofs include birth, death, and marriage certificates for the first 3 generations, and essentially something that will prove that back to the 6th, 7th, 8th generation, however far you need to go back. Everyone may experience unique challenges, but there are additional pathways to prove relationships. A lot of support is available through the Massachusetts DAR for documenting your genealogy or even proving a new patriot. So now I'll just go into my journey. I joined in 2017. And with the 1976 bicentennial of America and the 1977 movie Roots by Alex Haley, there was a resurgence of interest in family histories. Through my mother's family, I have a, quote, well-documented French Huguenot ancestry coming from Europe to the Tidewater part of Virginia in about 1700. French Protestants were among the 500,000 who left France as a result of the revocation of the Edict of Nantes in 1685. The family name Azel has numerous spellings, and you might run into this as you research your family. It could be, we spell it U-Z-Z-E-L-L. It could be U-Z-E-L, U-Z-Z-L-E, U-Z-E-L-L, Uzelli for Italian, Oisel, O-I-S-E-L, and Husel for Dutch. After sojourning for a while in Ireland, French Thomas, the Huguenot, came to the Isle of Wight, Virginia. Of 5 children, son James stayed in Virginia, and son Thomas immigrated to North Carolina around 1740. Azel's Methodist Church in Smithfield, Virginia, was established by James. Ruler speculates that French Thomas may have sailed to America with John Wesley as part of Cromwell's Ulster colony and into America. And sorry, I'm getting dry. And when he came to America, he befriended Bishop Asbury. At the time of the second Azel reunion for my family in 1979 in North Carolina, my ancestor Becky Granny's house was still standing outside of LaGrange, North Carolina, and it was built between 1790 and 1800. Excuse me. My relatives have been builders of Coney Island, New York, portrait painters, a vice president of the United States, photographers, professors, rice, cotton, and tobacco farmers, and many more everyday Americans. One was even a dirty wrestler who bit off the ear of an opponent. So down to me through my ancestry DNA profile. There's all this legend and documented history. Does it show up in your DNA? And it does for me. This journey was corroborated, and I can see clearly a difference between my maternal profile and my paternal profile. One reason I joined under the name Azel, I figured it was unusual enough that it would be easy to document. My maiden name was Brown, and I felt that would be like a Jones or a Smith, and just where do you begin? So that's why I picked Azel. But one of my goals is to pursue my father's family. I haven't gotten out of North Carolina yet for the Browns and the Proctors. But there were Proctors in the Tea Party, and I don't know if I'm related to them or if they came over much later. My mom's family was French Huguenot. My dad is stronger on the Scottish side. My future project is to explore European maternal pathways in my entire paternal line. I recently submitted a supplemental application to DAR for my patriot Benjamin Smith. This is a patriot used by my great aunts who joined. So I kind of thought it would be easy. My great aunts had been in it. You know, I knew a couple of patriots, but it turned out it wasn't so easy. My aunt had been regent for a chapter in Kinston, North Carolina. However, the way you prove things have changed over the years. Courthouse records have burned, and family records have scattered with the passing of past generations. DAR will accept some Bible entries, but you need the faceplate of the Bible itself, the date it was published, you know, other things like that. So there are other things you can use. you can use DNA now. They're using that technology. I'm not that familiar with how that links into the lineage, but they are using that now. My family genealogy is peppered with multiple Thomas Ozell's, the use of Major as a first name and not a military rank, and large families from multiple wives. I elected to join through Elisha Ozell of Dobbs County, which is now Lenoir County, and LaGrange, that town nearby, was also known as Mosley Hall. So a lot of change occurred, and you just have to learn the history along the way to connect the dots. Part of my documentation took me to old family cemeteries in Wayne and Lenoir counties. And thus I have the black notebook over there is a little photo book, and I call it my Book of the Dead. So I like going through old cemeteries. They're very artsy for me. I've gone through one in Savannah, Georgia, and some of the garden cemeteries here in Massachusetts are just really neat. So one spring break, I went down from Massachusetts to visit my sister in North Carolina, and we went traipsing through some country graveyards, and they're just family plots out in the middle of a field. So I would knock on a stranger's door. We dressed appropriately for weeds and bugs and snakes. We have poisonous snakes in North Carolina. And we went to one cemetery. It's a beautiful farm with some white barns in the back, and you can see the pictures if you look through that. And we got to the cemetery. The man at the house said, just go on back there. And so I found several relatives. That grandfather had 3 wives. I think he had children with 2 of them. 2 of his sons had died in the Civil War, and they were buried in that cemetery. So that was stuff that was new to me. And so we had the cardinals, which is a North Carolina state bird. And my sister thinks every time she sees a cardinal, my daddy's coming to visit. So I don't know whether I believe that or not, but she mentioned it when we were in that cemetery. And then we went over to Walnut Creek, which is in Wayne County, and farmland on Lake Wakena Road. So we were driving through, it's a housing development now called Walnut Creek, and my sister Janet saw a cousin that she recognized from one of the reunions. And we were just talking, sitting in the car, talking out the window, and she told him what we were doing. Oh yeah, there's somebody buried by the cedar bush out there in that field. So my sister was recovering from shoulder surgery. So I take her down a dirt road that is like this, looking for a plot in the middle of a plowed field, a cedar bush, okay? So we're driving along, I'm looking, it's like, I don't know. And then I was looking in the wooded side, and then I just happened to look over into the field, and there was this little green oasis. And I said, you sit in the car, let me jump the ditch, and I'll go check it out. So I went over there, risked the snakes and all. And as I was walking up to this little patch of green, there was a cedar tree right in the middle of it. There was one white poppy, just one. And I'm just looking around. I didn't see any headstones. I'm looking for something about 3 feet high. And then I looked down at my feet, and there were 2 headstones of the relatives that I was looking for. It was Granny Becky and her husband. So I was taking pictures of all these to use as my proofs. That gave me chills. It really did. So that's my story of the white poppy. Let's see. So I hope some of this talk tonight has increased your knowledge and interest in DAR patriotism, historic preservation, education, service, and what stories you might learn from your own families through genealogy. Here is one last story from our chapter.